Hey friends, how's it going? leowt here. I'm trying out a new format today, and I wanted to actually do a little bit of a video for us, right? A little bit of recording here, and I'm gonna do a reaction. This is a reaction to some footage that has been sent my way, and we're gonna check it out together. But let me know if you're interested. Let me know if you want me to do more stuff like this, because I absolutely can. And if you like it, we'll make more of it happen. And if you don't like it, we'll forget it ever existed. How's that sound? So yeah, we're gonna take a look at a video here, and I'm just gonna respond. I'm just going to respond to what's said on the video. I'm not going to put words in anybody's mouth. I'm not going to say anything that wasn't said or that didn't originally exist, but we are going to react one to one on this video. So I'm going to go ahead and play it, and I might pause it here and there throughout the video to give you some of my thoughts, but let's get started. All right, let's get started. You know, as you guys know, one of my big passions is the fact that if you want to be honest, I believe there's no biblical proof to condemn LGBTQ people to hell, and I certainly do not believe the assertion that Black Lives Matter is evil. I think that's absolute insanity to even assert that, and that's some stuff that's been coming out of this local church. And so we're just gonna take a second and break down what's being said in this reaction video. So the reaction video is 5 minutes, or the video is 5 minutes, so we'll see how long this goes. How's that sound? All right. You ready for the ride? I think I am.
About same-sex marriage. What does God say about transgender? What does God say about homosexuality and lesbianism? What does God say about what Black Lives Matter is standing for? BC, this is how crystal clear this is.
All right, so let's start off with this. God isn't saying anything in the Bible, right? The Bible is, if you are a Christian and you hold to the Bible was written by humans, and it was translated by humans, and it was translated by humans, and then it was translated by humans with money. And to say that outright God said, based on what you're reading in your English-speaking particular translation of a Bible, is very, very, very different than to say what God said. Also, God said nothing about transgender people. God said nothing about lesbians. At the most, if you believe that the Old Testament in Leviticus was actually spoken by God, right? Because that's the only place where that assertion is being made. In the New Testament, it's Paul that's speaking, right? And in the Old Testament, it is assumed to be God that's giving these commandments. And so if we want to talk about that, that's a whole different story. But God didn't talk about lesbians. Jesus didn't talk about lesbians. And there's a lot of conflation going on here. And the Bible doesn't talk about being transgender anywhere at all. That, my friends, is a cultural connotation that's come from the culture of American evangelicalism. So, back to the video. I can't figure out how to point to it. Ooh, back to the video.
This isn't a game. When you talk about the enemy getting into church, you talk about the lies that are settled in church. You talk about lies that are settled in the world, in TV and in movies and in music and in schools and in teaching and in counseling. The Institute of Marriage as God.
All right, so I'm not sure how to even begin to talk about the lies that have settled in all of these places, because this assertion of lies that is being made is based on one person's opinion. It's not even based on all of Christendom. It's being based on one person's opinion, right? So that needs to be kept in mind. And also, we need to keep in mind the fact that there are plenty of churches who are LGBTQ affirming. There are plenty of churches who are trans affirming. There was a transgender bishop elected. Like, it is a very specific, a very small percentage of Christianity that is willing to live and die on the issue of LGBTQ inclusion and just downright respect. Let's get back to the concept of the institution of marriage, because I'm really excited to hear about this. And for the record, this is my first time watching this video, so.
Has designed marriage. Listen, please hear this. Only God gets to define marriage, as God is the one who created marriage. And only, don't cheapen marriage.
Okay. Ooh.
Don't define marriage as something, anything less than God defined it, because as he defined it, he said it's that valuable.
All right, so we have to have a conversation about this because God did not create marriage. Marriage is a legal situation. It is a legal agreement between two people to share, essentially, I'm sorry if this seems a little bit morose or a little bit, let's say, like non-romantic, but marriage is a legal conception that is controlled by the government. It is a legal union that takes and combines two people's finances and gives you healthcare proxy and all that. But marriage is a literal, tangible, man-made union. Marriage is not made by God. God made people, right? If you want to go by that route, God made people. God gave people the ability to love each other. But even in the Bible, right, if you want to talk about biblical definitions of marriage, I can't even go there. Because there is people marrying sisters, there is concubines, there is hundreds of wives. Solomon in the Bible is supposed to be this great person of wisdom, and he had hundreds and hundreds of wives. King David had hundreds of wives, some of whom were taken unwillingly. And then on the side, there's wives, but then there's concubines, and that was totally acceptable and okay in the biblical times. So if you want to talk to me about the biblical concept of marriage, there really actually isn't one. Cool. Even if you look in the New Testament, I believe it's in Timothy, where they're talking about an elder should be a man of one wife. That is not prescriptive for all of marriage. That is saying an elder should have one wife. But other people, you know what I mean? That's up to them. And what I think is almost kind of funny about that in Timothy, or 1st or 2nd Timothy, I'm sorry if I get the reference wrong, but in the verse, an elder should be a man of one wife. I almost hear a little bit of a joke about gender in there, that wives take up a lot of energy. But that's a total aside. So let's dive back into the video.
Watch this. Marriage is to be held honor among all, and the marriage bed is to be undefiled. The marriage bed, that's a husband and a wife. Two become one, husband and a wife.
All right, so LGBTQ people, gay people, can honor the institution of marriage. If you love somebody and you are committing to them, guess what? You're honoring that relationship. You're honoring that relationship. And to keep the marriage bed sacred, bro, that you want to talk about what that phrase means? Because let's go there, because that's an ambiguous phrase. Let's go back to the original text. Let's go back to the Greek, to the Hebrew, to the Aramaic, to the oral tradition that existed before that. You, as a human, are associating the idea of defiling the marriage bed with an LGBTQ person. Let me tell you, I'm queer AF. My wife is a lesbian. Our marriage bed is honored because I respect her and she respects me, and we have that intimacy. So you can't push your own assumption of what is or what isn't honoring the marriage bed. Like, was King David honoring the marriage bed when he was raping people? I'm not sure, because he's supposed to be a big founder of the faith. So let's go back at it.
That marriage bed is to be pure. It's to be everything that's happened through homosexuality, and we'll get into that next week according to Genesis and according to Romans 1. And you look at this, and Jesus says, despite all that, let's just take it back to the beginning. As it was in the beginning, it's supposed.
I'm unsure what that quote even was about, if I'm being honest. All right, we're going back to the beginning now.
Supposed to be now. Anything that's been flipped in between isn't what it was supposed to be, and it's not the way it's supposed to be now. So the way it was in its creation as marriage is still how it's supposed to be today. This is the way.
Okay. Also, not a lot being said in that statement. Biblical marriage is an amorphous concept. It's alchemy. It's not one thing. It's like a bunch of things. And a lot of those things, to be honest, involved rape and concubines and sex slaves. Like, take it back to what it was in the beginning. I'm confused, to be honest with you. If you want to talk about Adam and Eve in the garden, there's a very clear reason to make Adam and Eve, right? Procreation. But plenty of people have non-procreative sex all the time, and we don't say that that's wrong. I don't know where we're going with that.
That it's supposed to be. And we see, according to Jesus, they haven't changed their mind. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, God Almighty, hasn't changed his mind in regards to the picture of what marriage is.
All right, so let's talk about something else here. Jesus never spoke about LGBTQ people. Jesus never spoke about same-sex relationships. Jesus was silent on the matter. If you want to talk about that, Jesus was silent. Let's check out some more.
How can you still say that marriage is only between a man and a woman? How can you still say that? Even though, listen, in 2015 in America it was made legal. Listen, the government can make a lot of things legal. It doesn't make it right. The marriage...
Okay. The government can make a lot of things legal. It doesn't make it right. I mean, the government made marriage a thing. So the logic is like really falling through. It's on shaky ground. Okay.
It's beautiful and it's amazing and it's wonderful and it's God created for a man and a woman. Anything outside of that is not God ordained. Anything outside of that is sin. And please, can I give you...
I'm gonna have to hard pass on that because I'm married. And it feels like a deeply spiritual and a deeply holistic, God-ordained institution. I can't imagine my life without my partner, who happens to be a lesbian and I happen to be queer, and it feels no less holy. So, once again, I'm going to have to defer to a real, tangible sense of logic.
You a promise. Hear me on this. If you do marriage God's way, if you follow his script, 100% chance of success. Enemy wants to lie in the...
Oh, there's 100% chance of success if you do marriage God's way? Wow, I didn't know that. Because my parents did marriage God's way. And they ended up getting a divorce. Both still Christians. Interesting. Cool. Maybe you've got a very narrow definition of what God's way is and what success is. Because if my parents are healthier and happier now, then I think that that is exactly what God would want. Do I wish they were together sometimes? Sure, because they're my parents. But I'm an adult. I have faith that God will lead them. I have faith that God will lead me. All of that, right? All of that. Their divorce did not make them any less of godly people. Period. So, I'm, again, confused by the logic of 100% chance of working out. Because also the stats on marriage inside and outside of the church are not good right now. Because their marriage amongst religious people and non-religious people, it is at exactly the same divorce rate. Cool. Moving on.
The enemy wants to cheat, and the enemy wants to steal, and the enemy wants to deceive, and the enemy wants to misguide. When you are coming through biblical terms, God has created a male and a female. There are two genders. And you...
Whoa, I was waiting for this one, man. There's not two genders. Surprise. Scientifically speaking, there are 13 biological sexes. 13 biological sexes when we talk about combinations and permutations of the XY chromosome. There are different arrangements, there are different disorders, and that's biological sexes. And then when you get to gender, plot twist, gender is a social construct. Gender does not exist in nature. Gender is created and defined by the societies that it exists within. Male and female, that's anatomy, and that binary falls short. Masculine and feminine, That's gender, and that binary falls short. It literally does not exist in nature, right? You can have completely male anatomy and externally and have female anatomy internally. What do you do with that? That's a naturally occurring thing. And that's going beyond just intersex. You could be biologically male and look female and not know until you have reproductive issues. 13 recognized scientific genders. I will drop the link in the show notes. Male and female biology, the binary falls short. Masculine and feminine gender, the binary falls short. Also, just for the record, there are over 29,000 versions, or 29,000 species of queer animals. I'll get into that in another video. But queerness is naturally occurring. Cool. This is just a fact. There's not only two ways to do life. Boom. Next clip.
To walk in his place, to understand the reality of that, and all of these things are knitted together in marriage. God created male and female for marriage. In body.
Okay. Again, male and female, defunct categories, right? Just people trying to shrink biology into digestible bite-sized bits. Has biology and gender and orientation all exist on separate spectrums. They are not all innately tied together. My mom is a cisgendered female, but guess what? She has a lot of masculine traits. She'll take charge. She'll make the money. She'll stand up and speak and preach in public. She'll be a leader. She's a cisgendered female, and she still doesn't fit all of the ideas of cultural femininity. Come at me now. Cool.
And both parts fit together in marriage, where two become one. Be fruitful and multiply.
Back to the two become one phrase, because still that's not even a biblical model of marriage. That's not. Dive in. Been studying it for 10 years now. Give you those receipts. I got them if you want them.
The simplicity is this: a man with a man cannot be fruitful and multiply.
Cool. A man with a man cannot be fruitful and multiply. Neither can a man with a woman who's had a woman with a man who's had a vasectomy, or a man with a woman who's had her tubes tied, or someone who's infertile by nature. You're trying to tell me that they're not holy, that they're not God ordained, because you're breaking up your logical stream here. If be fruitful and multiply is the only reason that you should be having sex, you better never had sex since you had a kid. Just saying. Just saying.
And a woman with a woman cannot be fruitful and multiply. They cannot.
Same logic here. Same logic.
What?
Okay, you're calling that a command of Scripture to be fruitful and multiply. Bro, wow. That's pulling a lot of things together that are not necessarily meant to be woven together.
God's picture of marriage, he says, when there is a male and there is a female and they come together, God says this: I bless that. I'm going to create for you a helper that's suitable. Watch this. Suitable for male. Well, watch it please, the only thing suitable for a male, guess what? A female.
Not sure where that logic is being drawn from, to be honest. Because I'm sure we all have plenty of same gendered friends, and they're also helpers. This weird reliance on only one person to sustain you in life makes such an unhealthy model of a marriage or relationship. Like, you need lots of people in your life other than just your partner. So the idea of helper, like, it goes beyond just one person.
You hear this in Matthew 19.
Oh, wait. While we're on the topic of going beyond one person, polyamory is never condemned in the Bible. Just saying. That's a free one for you.
You hear this in Mark 10. You hear this in Ephesians 5. You hear this in Colossians. You hear this in 1 Peter 3. You hear this over and over and over, where there is a male and there is a female. And God has really hung up on this whole idea of two genders. That is the man and that.
Okay, so once again, a conflation here with God and Jesus. And the fact that male and female relationships occur is cool. That's fine. No one's saying it's not fine. We're just saying it's not the only way. That's it. Period. And as I've already defined, male and female and masculine and feminine are different things, and they're on spectrums. They're on opposite ends of spectrums. They're just ends of a whole range of things.
And it is crystal clear from beginning to end of Scripture.
It's crystal clear if you read everything through a preconceived lens or bias.
Marriage is between a man and a wife, and only God, please hear it, only God gets to define that, because he is the creator. So many churches have been going through splits over this issue, same-sex marriage, and it's just like, where do you see that? Give me chapter and verse. This church does stand.
Okay. Give me a chapter and a verse. So many interesting points to say here, because the Bible is not a textbook or an instruction manual. The Bible is actually a collection of 66 books. Well, and that even depends on what version of the Bible you're reading. But the Bible is a collection of roughly 66 different books that are all different linguistic and literary styles. Furthermore, they're different linguistic and literary styles that were written in times that are not ours, right? So crystal clear is an incredibly irrational oversell. It's crystal clear if you have a preconceived framework and bias in place.
And if you want to not believe the Word of God, I can't do anything for you.
I mean, I believe the Bible in a lot of ways. And I wholeheartedly believe it, and I've been studying it at this point. I've been studying it academically for 10 years. I've been studying it personally for 30 years. Like, okay, the Bible is as much mine as it is yours. Cool.
When it comes to looking at transgender, when it comes to looking at those who would walk into a place of a natural-born man who wants to identify as a female.
Okay. It's just too easy, man. A natural-born man. There's a lot of cultural connotations wrapped up into that. If you are talking about someone who is born genetically male, that's one thing. If you are talking about someone who is born with a certain chromosomal conversation, talking about a conversation about that, it can vary. Your external genitalia and your internal chromosomes can disagree, and that's a naturally occurring thing. And how that person functions, regardless of their genitals, is a whole nother thing. Cool. Moving on.
Or a natural-born female who wants to identify as a man.
Hi, I was assigned female at birth, and I'm a non-binary human who's masculine presenting. Cool. That is me, and I am valid. You can not like it, but I exist, henceforth proving my existence is possible.
And then actually come to a place that in the church it becomes accepted.
Because it should be.
In the church it comes to a place to be, oh, that's okay. If that's how you identify, that's fine. Do you realize that is being taught in schools, and that is being taught on almost a high percent?
Because it's emotionally, psychologically, and intellectually responsible. Cool. That's why it's being taught. That's what we do. Man, we learn things, and we grow. And we learn new things, and we grow more. And it's fair, and it's valid, and it should be taught because it saves people's lives.
Of college campuses, you realize that is being taught in elementary schools and high schools.
Good job, folks. Good job, folks.
Guidance counselors are now instructed to tell the students, you got to go with whatever you.
There's no conspiracy with the guidance counselors being trained to make people queer. I'm gonna tell you this, like there's no conspiracy there. It's not a thing that's happening, right? There are so many more videos on this topic. I'm going to do more reaction videos. What I need for you guys to do is make little clips like that, send them to me, and I will react to them with the knowledge that I have in my head, with the wisdom that I have in my gut, and with 32 years of religious experience, 10 years of scholarly training, and 30 years of Bible study under my belt, man. I'll come at you. I'll shoot straight with you. I'll give you the truth, man. We'll do this again sometime. This has been Conversations Outtakes with leowt. I don't know if that's what I'm going to keep it named, but that's what it is. So hit me up with things that you would like to see me react to. This is never about a person. I'm never watching a video to make fun of somebody, right? But I do want you to understand, especially when it comes to religion and spirituality that has often been used as a club against LGBTQ people, against black people, against people who are not American. There's so many ways in which religion has been used as a club, and I'm just drawing a line in the sand. That's all I'm doing. And I'm saying you can believe that, but you can no longer purport that that is the only way to believe, because that's intellectually dishonest and it's unfair, and ultimately it's psychologically damaging to people. Lots of people. This has been Conversations Reacts with leowt, man. I will talk to you soon. I hope you enjoy this. Please give it a like. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And please share this video with your friends. Thank you so much. Have a good day.